Education. Both primary and secondary schools in Ogun State resumed for the second term of the 2022-2023 academic session with an impressive turnout in schools within the state capital, Abeokuta. A cross-section of head teachers, principals, teachers, parents spoke with OGTV News about their next line of action as the schools begin new academic term. Balaji Sampson reports.
After over 3 weeks of holiday for primary and secondary schools in the state, the schools gate are open again to receive them back for a new term. In most schools visited in Abeokuta, the state capital, teachers, students, and pupils were seen settling down immediately for work.
Being the first day, the teachers are all on ground. The students too are on ground. Being the first day, like I said, the environment is very dirty. So like you see us, we are trying to tidy up so that we can get ready for our tests.
The teachers say they look forward to hitting the ground running for the 2022-2023 academic session.
So the learners in the school and the other school is that they should be focused, and so that they will have target to work towards it.
A larger percentage of them are around. I would say from what we had on the assembly ground, about 90% of them are in school. And we have told them we are going to do what? We are going to do the welcome test for them. But it took us some time to clean the compound because the compound is littered with so many dry grasses, dry leaves, and neatness is next to godliness.
As you can see, the students are very ready. In fact, the spirit in them to commence work is even higher than what we used to have in the past.
Students and pupils were, however, warned against involving in social vices, and parents urged to monitor the activities of their words at home. Bolaji Sampson, OGTV News.
In a related development, the Ogun State Teaching Service Commission Chairman, Evangelist Joshua Olaliko, has commended the management and staff of schools in Ogun State for their diligence, coordination, and attitude to work. He gave this commendation while taking the roll call of members of staff during the first monitoring exercise of the year, which coincided with the resumption of students for the second term of the 2022-2023 academic session. Damilola Odetola has more.
The inspection team of the Ogun State Teaching Service Commission, led by the chairman, Evangelist Olaliko Ifede, was out to monitor the resumption activities in schools across Ogun State. In the course of the monitoring exercise, the chairman lauded the readiness and punctuality of staffs at all monitored schools. Evangelist Olaliko Ifede, as well as Permanent Secretary of the Commission, Dr. Waid Olalere, urged the staff to be more committed to their work and shun truancy in the new year.
I can see that my teachers are ready for work. All the schools we went to, we met all of them on ground, and they are ready. I've seen that what they did last time, they are ready to improve on it, and I believe that by the time we finish this time, we will have cause to thank God.
Turnout has been very impressive. Teachers were actually there in their numbers, and they are ready to start the term's work. So they are ready, and we have charged them to be committed, to be dedicated, and to be hardworking in the performance of their duties.
Responding, principals of the schools visited commended the present administration for the various efforts at providing facilities to aid conducive teaching and learning processes.
The government are really trying for the schools. Like we are resuming now, we have been sensitized to have the welcome test. The students are having their tests now, and everything are going well, and the government too are seeing to the welfare of the teachers.
I really appreciate the visit of the chairman, Teaching Service Commission, and it's a way of showing love. They left their own office now. They came out to meet us. It's a sort of encouragement to us as teachers.
Notable schools monitored by the chairman and his team included Kobakwe Community High School, Shion High School, Egba Owode Grammar School, and Owode High School, all in Obafemi Owode local government area. Damilola Odetola, OGTV News.
In the meantime, the chairman of the State Universal Basic Education Board, SUBEB, Dr. Femi Majakudumi, has called on teachers across the state to continue imparting quality knowledge by attending trainings and retrainings so as to keep them abreast with current education tools. Dr. Majakudumi made the call during the school monitoring inspection to schools in the state. Chris Musa reports.
Following the resumption of primary and secondary schools in the state after the holidays, the Ogun State Universal Basic Education Board, SUBEB, swung into action by sending out a team to monitor the level of compliance on the part of the students as they resume the second term 2022-2023 academic session. The team, which comprises staff from the State Universal Basic Education Board, was led by the chairman of the board, Dr. Femi Majakudumi, who said the inspection process was to make sure that school facilities are in check with adequate number of teachers to handle the students.
We want to see teachers making the job a serious one, preparing their lessons even before coming to school, making sure that they go through the students' work in the class, and other work given them like homework, okay, mark their papers, and it's the duty of the assistant head teacher to inspect this.
Dr. Majakudumi expressed satisfaction on the school environment as he noted that sanitation procedures and other health safety measures were all adequate at each of the schools visited.
Our teachers are always clean, they come in time, they do the work of teaching the way it should be done, and we are very impressed about this because it's a recurring thing. And it shows that SUBEB is doing his best to keep things going.
Schools visited include Baptist Day Nursery and Primary School, Ijeun, Lukosi, Baptist Nursery and Primary School, Idiaba, and Nawaruddin Nursery and Primary School, Ilubun, Ikeja, Abeokuta. Chris Musa, OGTV News.
Away from school's resumption, the importance of Thanksgiving in the life of every mortal should not be underestimated. This was the words of the Ogun State Governor, Prince Dr. Abeokuta, at a 10th Thanksgiving service organized by the former governor of the state, Otumba Benga Daniel, at Abraham's Tabernacle International Worship Center in Shagamu, Ogun State. Governor's office correspondent Yusuf Ganiyu reports.
The Thanksgiving service had as theme collapse of the wall of Jericho. Governor Abeokuta, while urging Nigerians to always give thanks to God, said this would help reduce the challenges currently facing the nation. He noted that prayers has made the ruling party gain momentum in the state since the inception of the current administration, adding that this is the first time in the history of the state that all former governors and their deputies are in the same party.
Your faith should be as powerful as what they call the mountain moving faith. As you renew your faith, it increases your hope. And I said to myself, that must be what happened when the walls of Jericho fell. When people began to sing and dance and thank the Almighty God until that wall of Jericho fell. Let us continue to thank God. Let us be in the spirit of thanksgiving until all the walls of Jericho that surround us fall. The walls of Jericho that are likened to kidnapping, to this inflation, to these perilous times. By His grace, this year 2023, every single wall of Jericho in our individual or collective lives will fall in Jesus' mighty name.
Organizer of the Thanksgiving service, Otumba Benga Daniel, commended Governor Abeokuta for being passionate about development of the state and said he would continue to be grateful to God for giving him the opportunity to overcome all challenges he faced in 2022.
Talk about this team. It's not because we want to be proud and want to say X and Y has happened. The fact of the case is that as human beings, God teaches us to have a sense of thanksgiving. And part of thanksgiving means you must be bold enough to confess to God and to thank God for the wonderful thing He has done in your life. I must stand here to say that I am one of the most grateful men to God for what He has done in my life.
Governor Abeokuta later joined Otumba Daniel and his wife Yeye Olufunke Daniel as they danced to the altar in appreciation to God. Yusuf Ganiyu, OGTV News.
Ogun State Deputy Governor Engineer Noimot Salako Oyedele was at the Stella Obasanjo Children's Home to celebrate and share the joy of her 57th birthday celebration with the children of the home. An engineer of repute and a worthy daughter of Awori land was at the home with her mother and immediate family members to extend her kindness to them. Matthew Shomi reports.
Described as an engineer of repute with great attention to details, the Deputy Governor of Ogun State, Engineer Noimot Salako Oyedele, has no doubt contributed greatly to the development of Ogun State and the realization of the Building Our Future Together agenda of the current administration. The celebration of her 57th birthday was a unique opportunity to continue to put smiles on the faces of the needy in the society, as she decided to begin the celebration at the Stella Obasanjo Children's Home in Ibara Housing Estate, Abeokuta. A highly fulfilled and joyous mother of the Deputy Governor, Alaja Adebisi Salako, and Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development, Honorable Funlayo Fuakpe, expressed their delight in joining the Deputy Governor to celebrate with the children.
We have many people who have gone by, but when I look at it, I know I have a mission to perform, and that mission is praying and taking care of the children. A lot of people that are in power, they forget the less privileged. You have chosen to come and celebrate with these people.
Engineer Salako Oyedele speaks of how fulfilled she feels to celebrate in the midst of the children.
I was first here in December of 2019 when I came to celebrate Christmas with the children. Once again, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to Almighty Allah. Thank you to all of you for your support, for your love.
Gifts of essential items were thereafter presented to the children after being joined in the cutting of the birthday cake, as prayers were offered for the celebrant and her family. The Deputy Governor was joined at the altar at a special Thanksgiving during the Armed Forces Remembrance Day church service. It was an opportunity for members of the Ogun State Government Cabinet, led by the #1 man, Prince Dapo Abiodun, to show their appreciation and love for the contributions of a woman described as a stabilizing force and rallying point of the administration at a reception held at the Deputy Governor's Lodge.
Between both of us, we've steered the ship of this state in the right direction. You've justified. I want to, on this occasion, thank my Deputy Governor for being a good friend and partner, a good collaborator.
Former members of the cabinet, traditional rulers, state functionaries, permanent secretaries in the state civil service, led by the head of service, politicians, and other dignitaries in attendance, had many great things to say about the celebrants.
Jolly good fellow, down to earth, humble, and very generous.
She's done wonderfully well for Awori land, not just utter. A positive and a fresh breath of air to us, both in our local government, Abeokuta, and in the state.
We beseech Almighty Allah to continue to endure her with success, good health.
She's somebody that give any assignment to her, you can go and stay with your 2 hours place.
She has been a blessing to us in our land.
The husband, son, mother, and family members of the Deputy Governor also speak glowingly of her.
She's somebody that I trust, that she's somebody that is very dear to us, and I'm sure she's been able to demonstrate that even in the public service.
The celebrant was full of appreciation for the opportunity to serve the state at this time.
Each of us play our own part to help this agenda going and to make a success
of this administration. So I want to thank you all for all that you do, for looking out for me.
A time to reflect on what Allah has made her contribute to the life of the people and Ogun State as a whole. Matthew Showme, OGTV News.
Ogun State Chief Judge, Honorable Justice Musumola Dikpeolu, has charged staffers of the state judiciary to be more hardworking, responsible, diligent, and improve on themselves in the delivery of their duties in this new year. Honorable Justice Dikpeolu gave the admonition at a prayer session to begin the year 2023 as workers resume duty after the Yuletide. Margaret Okunlola reports that the Christian and Muslim prayers were held simultaneously at the State Judiciary Complex. Kobakwe Abeokuta, her report.
It was a gathering of men of the bench and bar, magistrates and judicial research officers as well as staffers of the Ogun State Judiciary. This time not for the usual business of justice delivery, but a prayer session held to thank God for the previous year and to usher in the new year 2023. The prayer session was held in the Christian and Muslim ways simultaneously within the same compound. In their different sermons during the two different sessions, preachers admonished staffers to follow the guidance and direction of God in their dealings in the new year. The State Chief Judge, Justice Musumola Dikpeolu, thanked staffers for their cooperation in the outgone year, while imploring them to be more diligent in discharging their duties.
To whom much is given, much is expected. As much as possible, we try to provide a very conducive environment for you to work. So we expect you to discharge your duties diligently. Be purposeful, to cooperate more, to be more supportive, to be more loyal, and to be more faithful. All that you need to discharge your duties, the Lord will grant unto you.
Prayers were offered for the staffers, management team, magistrates and judicial research officers in the state and by extension, Nigeria. Margaret Okunlola, OGTV News.
Still ahead, federal government shortlists 20 candidates for the position of a new Accountant General of the Federation. Details of this and more reports after the break. Watching OGTV News. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has raised the alarm over the rising security situation across the country and its impact on the 2023 general elections. The INEC chairman, Mahmoud Yakubu, who spoke at the validation of election security training resources in Abuja on Monday, noted that the forthcoming election faces serious threat of cancellation should the insecurity across the country fail to improve. Yakubu, represented by the chairman, Board of Electoral Institute, Abdullahi Suru, explained that if the insecurity is not monitored and dealt with decisively, it could ultimately culminate in the cancellation and/or postponement of elections in sufficient constituencies to hinder declaration of election results and precipitate constitutional crisis. The Commission, however, assured that it would not leave anything to chance in ensuring that intensive and extensive security are provided for election personnel, materials, and processes. Mahmoud said the electoral body appreciates the fact that election security is vital to democratic consolidation through provision of enabling environment for the conduct of free, fair, credible, and inclusive elections, and thus strengthening the electoral process. Consequently, in preparations for the 2023 general elections, the Commission is not leaving anything to chance in ensuring that intensive and extensive security are provided for election materials. This, according to the chairman, is particularly significant to the Commission, given the direct insecurity challenges in various parts of the country and the fact that the National Youth Service Corps members constitute the core of the polling unit election materials. Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission has disclaimed a report that it released a fresh final list of presidential and National Assembly candidates, urging the public to discountenance the reports. The National Commissioner and Chairman, the Information and Voter Education Committee of INEC, Festus Okoye, issued the disclaimer on Monday in Abuja. A newspaper ad on Monday reported that the Commission on Sunday published the final list of candidates for the election. Okoye said the final list of candidates for the 2023 general elections as published at least 150 days before the day of election in compliance with the provision of Section 32, subsection 1 of the Electoral Act 2022, adding that the final list for presidential and National Assembly elections was published on 20th September 2022, while that of governorship and state assembly elections was 2 weeks later on 4th October 2022. It said there cannot be a final list of candidates with just 46 days to the general elections, except for names published as substitutions for candidates nominated earlier in compliance with court order. The Ogun State All Progressives Congress will on Tuesday, 10th January 2023, move its campaign train to Abeokuta in Abeokuta local government area of the state by 10 in the morning. The campaign train will stop at Obada Papalanto and finally at Itori. President Muhammadu Buhari will leave a legacy of probity and good governance. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed stated this at the 16th edition of the PNB's 2015 to 2023 scorecard in Abuja. Since he assumed office,
in the whole of Africa.
Since he assumed office in April 2015, the APC administration, led by President Muhammadu Buhari, has set standards that will pass as legacies in the history of the administration in the country.
Putting Nigeria on the path of self-sufficiency in many staples, including rice, fertilizer, blending plants in the country, the number of rice mills in the country has also increased from under 10 in 2015 to about 80 today. 14, according to 5 authorities, is now ranked at number 79. This is why we cannot understand the campaign promise of the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar to throw open our borders if elected, because this will simply reverse all the gains of the past 7 years plus.
On security, Lai Mohammed explains.
Of the revamped security sector in the face of unprecedented security challenges in the country. Today, the Nigerian military is being restored to its glorious past, thanks to the President's foresight and doggedness in keeping the various services. And this has made it possible for the military to tackle insurgency and all other security challenges within the country.
For infrastructure, the minister was quick to remind those he described as detractors who have no reason to criticize President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration that infrastructure development under the Buhari administration is unprecedented since the nation's return to democratic rule in 1999.
Perspective of the antics of the opposition, Muhammadu Buhari's negative analysis can continue to negative the history of this past 7 years plus.
He equally touched on the administration's anti-corruption drive. Minister explained that Buhari had to ensure inclusiveness in the development process, and no state in the country that is not witnessing at least roads, bridge, or housing projects. The federal government has shortlisted 20 candidates for the position of a new and substantive Accountant General of the Federation. The 20 candidates, according to the government, were drawn from ministries, departments, and agencies. It will be recalled that Ahmed Idris, the former AGF, was arrested in Kano State after he failed to respond to invitations by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to answer questions over an allegation of 109 billion naira fraud. 2 days later, Idris was suspended indefinitely without pay by the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed. Chukwuyere Anamekwe, who was chosen to replace Idris in an acting capacity, was also removed. The shortlist followed reports of the anti-corruption agencies on the screening of prospective candidates that applied to participate in the process for the appointment of a substantive AGF. The Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, on Monday inaugurated the General Council of the Bar with a call on the leadership of the Nigerian Bar Association not to isolate its members. During the unveiling of the Bar Council, Malami said the new council will provide an avenue for members to deliberate on the country's legal issues. He stated that the Council of Legal Luminaries in the profession will strengthen the capacity of the Nigerian Bar Association to deliver on its core values. He emphasized the need to stimulate the Council by putting vital structures in place. The AGF said the Bar Council was established by the Legal Practitioners Act and tasked with functions stipulated by the Act and the Constitution of the Nigerian Bar Association. In view of its constitution by the Attorneys General, who are positioned to influence their excellencies, the President and state governors, Malami stated, a body which consists of all the chief law officers in the Federation cannot simply be ignored by any leadership of the NBA, which is truly desirous of making significant impact on the administration of justice and promotion of the rule of law generally in Nigeria. The Bar Council, according to Malami, should be seen as a vehicle for driving the developmental agenda of the NBA, implementing the NBA resolutions, and influencing government policies. He urged the NBA to consider the Bar Council as an alternate board of trustees or advisory body, a link or liaison with the Federal Executive Council, state executive councils, national and state assemblies, Nigerian Governors Forum, Conference of Speakers of State Assemblies, among others. The minister advised that the NBA leadership, serving as a vehicle of social conscience, should not seek to isolate its members in government who are positioned to drive its success. It's time to bring you business news with Dominic Agbeha.
Welcome to the business segment of the news. The Central Bank of Nigeria has insisted that there would be no extension of the January 31 deadline for the return of the old 200 naira, 500 naira and 1000 naira notes to the banks. This is as the Apex Bank has clarified that for now, the deposit money banks are only allowed to dispense the new naira notes through the automated telemachines, ATMs, with the banks barred from distributing the new notes over the counter to customers. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has insisted that the CBN has enough notes to go round the nation ahead of the January 31 deadline when the old notes will cease to be legal tender. Meanwhile, the CBN, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency, NOA, and various market associations, will on Tuesday, January 10, 2023, commence aggressive enlightenment and public awareness campaign on the new Naira redesign project, as well as the need to properly handle the new Naira notes. The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission on Sunday revealed that crude oil production in Nigeria rose to 1.235 million barrels per day in December 2022, representing the highest output since March, when the country produced 1.237 million barrels per day. Figures obtained from the commission in Abuja showed that oil production increased from 1.185 million barrels in November to 1.235 million barrels per day in December, indicating that the effort of the federal government and security agencies in curbing oil theft was paying off. Crude oil production in Nigeria had crashed to as low as 0.937 million barrels per day in September last year, which was the lowest output recorded in Nigeria in several years. The crash in oil production was attributed to the activities of pipeline vandals and oil thieves in the Niger Delta, a development that also made some international firms leave Nigeria. A report by Money Africa has said that Nigerians need to get out of bad debt to survive the financial challenges in 2023. It noted that the residual effect of the pandemic, Russia-Ukraine war, and high inflation had affected the finances of Nigerians and led to loaning from every means possible to survive. In the report titled 2023 Optimism, Making the Best of a Potentially Challenging Year, it said that in Nigeria, the elections were going to be pivotal to how the year would turn out. Regardless, the problem of slow growth, high inflation, and high unemployment would persist, it stated. These problems could be worsened by the phasing out of petrol subsidies and a sustained depreciation of the currency unless oil exports recover strongly. And finally, on the business segment of the news, today's trading activities on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange closed with a gain of 256 billion naira in market capitalization. The all share index increased by 0.91% to close at 51,693.08 points. In the same vein, market breadth closed positive with 18 gainers and 16 losers. As of the close of the market on Monday, the stock market value stood at 28.1 trillion naira. Since the start of the year, the stock market has advanced by 97.42 basis points or 0.72%. And that's the business segment of the news. Many thanks for watching. It's back to Mujisola for the rest of the bulletin.